The Battle of Bluff was an early battle of the American Civil War, fought in Loudoun County, which is minutes from the city of Leesburg, state of Virginia. And fought on October 21st, 1861, which is the Union Army under Major General George McClellan suffered a humiliating defeat. This is the third battle that the Union lost to the Confederates in this year, which is 1861. The whole battle based on false intel. There was a small reconnaissance unit from the north. They crossed the Potomac from Maryland to the state of Virginia through a small island, Harrison Island, and they just doing reconnaissance. And so they felt they saw abandoned camp, Confederates camp in this area. Although it wasn't a camp, it was a shadow of maple trees, and they thought it was camp. So they sent message to General Charles Stone, and General Charles Stone, Brigadier General, he's actually West Point graduate. He's an engineer, a well-respected officer. He fought in the Mexican War, and we're coming back to him. Actually, this episode is gonna focus on him and his career after the Civil War. Anyhow, so then they kept sending troops. Actually, most of them are from Massachusetts, and they call them Harvard unit or Harvard Brigade, because most of them graduated from Harvard. And they came here, they fought against the Confederates. The Confederates were led by Colonel Nathan Evans, and the Union lost about 223 soldiers were killed here, and 552 captured. It's a big defeat, big loss, but it's a when the Union Army soldiers retreated from the battle, and they wanted to go across the river. This is the Potomac River, through Harrison, island of Harrison. There were only 4 boats, very small boats, and some of the soldiers couldn't swim. Swimming wasn't a necessity at that time; it's a luxury, and so they start jumping on this steep slope. I will show it to you later. Then they start like trying to swim, and on those trees were sharpshooters from the south, and start shooting one by one, and many of them died, were killed, and their bodies floated downriver to Washington and even as far as Mount Vernon. One day, Washingtonians woke up and they found dead bodies in the river of the Potomac, and they find out there was a massacre, and they were the remains of the soldiers who were killed in the battlefield of Ball's Bluff. Besides the defeat, and a lot of soldiers were killed from the Union and the humiliation, there was a senator, and let's put it this way, VIP, some dignitary killed during this battle, and he's a senator in the United States Senate, and he was very close friend to President Abraham Lincoln, and President Lincoln was devastated when he heard about the death of his close friend. Colonel Edward D. Baker, he was a member of the Senate, United States Senator, and he's a colonel also. He led his unit here, and he got killed in this exact location right here. There was a sharpshooter from the Confederates aimed on him, and he killed him immediately right here. And Edward D. Baker, he was a very good friend of President Lincoln, and before the battle, like a week, he was in the White House, and he was playing with the President Abraham Lincoln's kids, and he was killed right here. The president was devastated, and the Senate, the whole Congress were devastated due to the death of Colonel Edward D. Baker. He was a senator, and he is actually the only senator he was killed in action throughout the whole history of the United States of America. I'm going to mention the other person, who is General Charles Stone, right after this. So after the battle and the defeat of the North, this is the third time they get defeated in 1861. The Congress formed a joint committee to investigate what's going on and what happened. So of course they have to look for some scapegoat. George McClellan, they can't really touch him. If you've been to the Middle East or you served in Iran, you'll understand the word of wasta. George McClellan had a good wasta, the president behind him, so they have to find someone to blame on. Well, the person they blame on, the second man in command, was Charles Stone, Brigadier General Stone. He's born in 1824 in Greenfield, Massachusetts. He graduated from West Point. He's a well-respected officer and engineer. He fought in the Mexican War, very intellectual. But that joint committee, the Congressional Committee, they found him guilty. And on February 12, 1862, at the orders of General George McClellan, the commander of the Union Army, he issued arrest warrant against Charles Stone, and there were 18 soldiers broke into his house, Washington, D.C. They picked him up, and he was sent to Fort Lafayette in New York. And so when he was sent to Fort Lafayette by train, so they took him by train with his bodyguard, and there was a transit point or transit station in Philadelphia. So they went there. He didn't have a ticket, so even the government didn't buy him a ticket. So he bought his own ticket. He purchased his own ticket and went to prison. He spent 50 days. Imagine 50 days in solitary confinement by himself, small room, and we're talking about 160 years ago. And it was in winter. We're talking about February in New York. So his health deteriorated because he couldn't exercise, he couldn't move, cold, lack of nutrition, lack of food. He's getting really tired. He's about to die, and they decided to move him to Fort Hamilton, which is the same area, and that was a prison for the POWs, for the Confederate prisoners, and they throw them there, or the secession. Spent 50 days in the solitary confinement, then about 339 days in Hamilton. Then after the relief of George McClellan and General Hooker became the commander of the Northern Army, they released him. He was released, and they reinstated his rank, brought him back, but all his job was mostly administrative position, not really. He's like the aide or the XO to the commanders. It's not really the job he wanted to be. He's not a commander. He's not commanding position. They still don't trust him. They still ex-prisoner. So anyway, he remained until 1864, and then he resigned. So when he resigned from the army in 1864, he worked as an engineer in different companies, mining companies. That's his specialty. Until the end of the war, and in 1868, General Billy Sherman, William T. Sherman, he was the commander of the army, the whole United States Army. He recommended him to work or serve in the Egyptian army. So he sent him in 1870, he sent him to Egypt to be the chief staff of the Egyptian army under Khedive Ismail Pasha. He gave him the rank of Tariq, Lieutenant General, and he became the special advisor to the Khedive. The Khedive is the ruler of Egypt. So Charles Stone became the chief staff of the Egyptian army in 1870 until 1883. So 13 years. He actually, during the British bombardment on Alexandria, his family, his daughter and his wife, were trapped in Cairo, and he was fighting on behalf of the Egyptian army. So he built schools for the soldiers, for their families. He built places, houses, and he did modernize the Egyptian army at that time. So until 1883, he came back to the United States, and he got a job offer as the chief engineer of the Statue of Liberty in New York, and he worked there until his death in 1886, and he was buried in West Point, and even the ceremony of his burial and funeral was very respectful, and he was treated with respect and dignity. Just filming, and ambulances rolled in and they evacuate someone. A lot of people hiking here and they run. Probably someone got injured. I wish they had those technologies back in the Civil War.